What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Riders. We are here. It's a brand new Kamen Rider season. We're going to talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard Episode 1 today. If you are new, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us here on the brand new Kamen Rider season. We are a Kamen Rider podcast. I'm your host. My name is Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. And joined, as always, on these shows is my good friend, Toby Tobes. What's up, Toby?
Josh, I have an important question. We're coming in hot straight out of the gate. For numerical tracking purposes, is this like actually season 2 of our show, or are we just one giant season of comment writing?
So for numerical tracking purposes, this is season 2 of our show, because for all of our Gotchard podcast episodes, I labeled them as season 1. So now we're going to go to season 2.
Perfect.
I kept up with the naming conventions to match the episodes. So there were some points where we did 2 Geets episodes in one podcast, but I made sure our podcast numbering in the podcast system matched the Geets numbering. So that means that now we have to go to season 2 and match the Gotchard numbering.
That's fantastic. I love it. It feels more official. Like we waited till like a second season. We didn't get canceled yet or anything.
That's true. Yeah, we got picked up for a second season in that you and I decided to continue doing this. And no one else was able to tell us no. And we're here. Yeah, we're ready. We did a soft reboot. So that means that I designed some new thumbnails that we're going to be using. We have a new theme song. I think we talked about it last time. We vetoed my horrible first pass at a theme song, and now we have like a nice one that sounds like it should be for a podcast.
That's fantastic. Josh, I have an important statement real quick.
Okay.
For syndication of a television show, you need like 80 to 100 episodes.
Right.
So I think after season 2 of the Comment Riders, I think we're due for syndication rights. That's
after season 2. Yeah.
That's big money on the back end. Yeah,
we can show up on all your favorite podcast networks at 2 p.m. for a 5-hour block.
The 605 live on TBS.
Do you think kids know what syndication is? Like, do you think the average person listening to this would know what syndication is? Because we're so far removed from a world where like television and when it airs and where it airs matters. I just don't know if that's common knowledge.
I don't know, but the same TV shows are on TV every day at the same exact times. So at some point, I would think you would start asking questions of like, why is Seinfeld on from 4 to 6 on TBS every day? And if you want to know the answer why, it's called syndication.
And I would just think that the kids just don't know that about TV anymore. Because
they're on YouTube. Or TikTok TV. Or Twitching or whatever the fuck they do.
Yeah, they're out there twitching. Twitching and shaking. That's what the kids do. If you don't know, syndication is basically where a show gets like essentially sold to other networks like for airing. Like, so like if a show was originally made on NBC or made for NBC, then it gets to like you said, like 80 to 100 episodes, where then it's like available for syndication, which means other networks can basically pay to then air that show. And usually, yes, it comes in the form of like daytime TV or like TBS airing like 6 hours of a show at once. If you've ever, stayed home sick from school and watched, 6 hours of Boy Meets World, that was its syndication. But it's always like historically for TV shows, it's always a goal for them to get to because you get a lot more money. Like your show airs forever instead of just while it was airing.
It's a infinite income.
Yeah, exactly.
Or passive income, I guess. It's really it's a long running passive income.
Infinite passive income, which I assume is still true. But I guess that's maybe why we're striking right now is those things are not as high as they should be.
Only since I was all fired up about it. And by fired up, I mean I noticed it, and it's just because I watched the show. So all the Breaking Bad cast is part of the group of many actors that are striking against SAG right now, or SAG-AFTRA, whatever the fuck it is.
Well, all of the SAG actors are striking against the industry, I guess. Like SAG is what's on strike. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jesse from Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul, his statement today was basically along the lines of he sees literally $0.00 from Breaking Bad on Netflix after all these years, all this time, And so when his quote, he made his quote, it didn't have bitch or yo in his quote. So I don't really think it was Jesse, but I do believe that it's a little bit absurd that he's literally seeing $0 from everyone streaming the hell of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul or obviously any show. It's
Yeah.
just absurd. Like if you're not probably like the number one actor or actress on the show, you probably don't get shit. And even if you are the number one actor or actress, you probably still don't get shit.
You still don't after the fact. Yeah, like I and it's a funny thing, like I feel like most people would agree that like the 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 people who make the art should be the ones who like are at least large in part benefiting from the art, right? But that's not really how it works. And yeah, like once the show's done, like you got paid for it or whatever, like he got paid for being in the show, he doesn't continue to see the money for the show. It's the big corporations.
Well,
Uh,
the crazy thing too is like I know one of the big sticking points is Netflix doesn't reveal how they count viewership really, or
yeah.
there's like magic and smoke and mirrors where they can just like say like, oh, the show's the best, or no one watches the show, or however it works. The craziest thing was, I think it was earlier this year, whenever Wednesday came out. At one point in one of the months, they were like, Netflix crunched the numbers, and Stranger Things season 4 is still the most watched thing on Netflix. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, oh, Netflix redid their numbers, and guess what? Now Wednesday is the number one show on Netflix. And it's curious because what the hell kind of tweak do you make to that system where you're like, oh yeah, the show that's about a year old now is less popular than the show that just came out.
Well, like yeah, that is suspicious. Also, Netflix is just so bad anymore. Like there's so little stuff on Netflix that it always works out that like whatever the newest thing that got put on is the thing that everyone watches because everyone's like, there's nothing new to watch. There's just one thing. Wednesday's here. I guess I'm watching Wednesday now. Like my wife recently watched all of Suits, which is a show that came out, I don't know, like 2010 or something. It's old. It's an old show. Um, I don't even think it's that particularly good. She wasn't even like that into it. It was just like it was a show to watch. But it seemed like everyone was kind of watching Suits at the same time, and I was like, what happened?" It turns out it just got added to a streaming service, and just everyone started watching it because it just got added. It's brand new.
Yeah,
So
everyone basically gets bored and excited, and they're like,
yeah,
oh shit, this is 20-year-old shows on here. I might as well watch this while it's here.
exactly. So yeah, like, and I guess that's true of like terrestrial TV too, because it's like you're watching whatever is currently out too. But like, it's such a weird thing on Netflix because the way that like their whole system is designed around surfacing the new thing and making you see the new thing and making you watch the new thing, that like having them put out numbers is just sort of pointless because it's like turns out people did exactly what we told them to do. The algorithm is working.
We're like, hey, here's some water in the oasis. Aren't you thirsty? And they're like, I'm
that
done. Give me all the water.
that too, yeah. Turns out people that are paying money for a service want to get something out of the service, so they're going to watch the new thing even if they don't love it. So yeah,
And the dumbest thing now, like, I don't, this could be our last tangent before we start the actual show. If you're new here,
this is what we do.
we usually go on tangents for about 10-15 minutes before the show starts. Get used to it.
We're very sorry.
No, we're not. Like the craziest thing and the most irritating thing is not that I would expect everything to be together. But I remember a day where like I could go on like Hulu or Netflix and find almost anything I wanted to watch between the two.
Yep.
And now when I want to watch a show, my first step always has to be Googling like where to stream X show.
Yep.
And it'll give me like 5 or 6 options. But more times than not, the 5 or 6 options are not a streaming service that I have somehow.
Correct.
And it's like pay for Peacock Plus or Discovery Plus or Vivu or Tubi or whatever the hell any of those other things are. But it's just absurd. There's the whole point of this was to get away from cable and paying for things, I guess, piecemeal or paying for what you want. But now, like, I pay more for all my streaming stuff than I did for cable. Like,
100%.
when I
Yeah.
originally cut cable, I was saving money. At this point, I'm probably way more invested than the old days.
Yep, us too. Yeah, I mean, it helps that like for example, like we pay for Netflix and my mom pays for Hulu and we share both of them. So like we split some of the costs there, but like they're cracking down on that, right? The like using it outside your household thing. Which I think actually Netflix 100% doesn't let you use it outside your household now. So my mom might be completely locked out of Netflix now that I'm thinking about it. But totally, like we're in deep on the streaming services, and I am even more so because of wrestling too, right? So you've got I did at least like I used to have the WWE network, which now has become Peacock, and WWE is terrible, so I don't pay for that anymore. Um,
No,
but
I pay
now,
for AEW. Ha ha ha.
well, they don't have a streaming service, but I would if they had one. But New Japan has a streaming service, and there are others. There's Fight TV, which I have, which is um has
That's
some.
the actual big one I know. Like
Yeah,
the side, but has a lot of things.
I actually have two Fight subscriptions, which is embarrassing. The one I have is for independent wrestling, and the other one that I have is one that's technically not available in the United States.
Ooh.
It's the AEW Plus subscription. So I guess I technically do have the AEW streaming service, which lets you get the full episodes without commercials. So when they cut to commercial, you still get to keep watching the matches.
Oh, that's
But
interesting. That's actually
I
cool. So
it's very cool. Yeah.
that's
I have
like
to turn on my VPN to get it to work though. So if anyone asks, I'm from Ireland.
nice. I heard it's lovely there all the time.
That's great.
With
In
your
the old
watching
Ire.
the with your watching the broadcast feed thing, in the old days of OG satellite TV, it was like that too. Where if you were watching a satellite channel, when it cut off of television, you would still get the feed. And there's random clips throughout the years of like actors and actresses and stuff, like on talk shows saying the dumb, stupid shit or mean shit. And they wouldn't think anyone would saw it, but people are watching uh
The satellite
the
version.
satellite feed,
Yeah.
and like there's like little like hidden tidbits.
So they're back in the original, like the old days of wrestling, it would be the exact same thing where they would cut to commercial in like WWE. And there's one really famous clip that happened in commercial where like Vince McMahon like chews out Michael Cole on commentary. Like you can't hear Vince talking, but you hear Cole's reaction to him, where he like the first thing he says is like kind of fighting back of just like, well, you said to do, and then he gets quiet for a while, and then he's like, yes, sir, yes, sir. What happened again, sir? Yes, sir. It's like, oh my god. So yeah, that's super cool. And like I think early AEW, they played more fast and loose with the commercials. I think less people were on the like Fight TV thing, so less people were watching it, and they were all brand new. So like their commercial breaks got a lot more jokey. Now they cut to commercial. They still kind of just do regular commentary through the commercial because so many people are on that Fight TV sub. Um, but it's still like a little bit looser, and it's cool because like that you can hear when they break out to regular commercial, and then you hear when they cut back in. So you can hear the like they pause conversation for like just a moment, and then he's like, "And we're back with Dynamite." Like it's just very neat from a production standpoint to hear it. But anyway, yeah, we have a ton of various subscription services, and we do the thing now where we like sign up for them and then cancel them for shows we want to watch and stuff. So we have to like juggle it like that. We're fully back into the world of cable. That's what
Perfect.
it is. It is exactly like paying too much for a bunch of crap we don't care about just for like the two shows that we do watch. So great times. But speaking of shows we do care about, Toby,
What
let's
if we
talk
don't
about.
care about? No one knows yet. This is the
Well,
first episode. It could be anything.
that's true. But I was speaking more about Kamen Rider in general, which I care about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to give you spoilers on Gotchard, whether I'm deciding that I care or not yet, but Kamen Rider as a whole. And I care about the comment writers, which is of course this show. We get email from our listeners on the show. Again, if you are new, if you are out there and you think I need to tell these guys something, you can do that. You can send us an email. Send those emails over to cast@kamenridersucks.com. We got an email this week. This email comes in from a longtime listener, Shade. Shade has some info about Gotchard for us, Toby, which is
Uh-oh.
which is kind of funny because
We're
there's
coming
some
in
things in
hot.
here, we've been talking about recently off the air. So because the very first thing is about the baton passing event that happened recently. Would you like to describe what happened at the baton passing event, Toby?
So at the baton passing event, Geets passed off a ceremonial baton to Gotchard. And it's a simple picture of the two actors not in their costumes, smiling, standing together, holding a giant metal pole that's half wrapped in Geats colors and half wrapped in Gotchard colors. A nice little bow down the middle to separate the two. I showed our Discord, our wonderful Discord, what the picture looked like. I was like, oh, this is a fun little happy moment. Look, they're passing the baton. And for whatever reason, Josh's mind was blown and was like, I don't understand what the gift is. What are they doing?
Yeah, I was like, what is that thing they're holding? And you had to be like, it's a baton, you idiot. So then we had a good conversation about what a baton is and why this one
and how they
isn't
get
a real
passed.
baton. I would have never figured out that was a baton and it was a passing the baton thing if you had not told me. And I'm not doing a bit. I'm not trying to be funny. I 100% didn't get it, didn't understand what it was. Now that you pointed out, I can see the like symbolism, but it's so thick. Like it's like a girthy baton. Like, but it was not at all what I was expecting a baton to look like. And it's covered in ribbon too, which is confusing.
Yeah, it was a little fancied up for the sake of the picture, I'm sure.
Yeah. I liked the ribbon. I liked that the ribbon was in the colors of the shows. That was all very cool. But yeah, I really needed a primer on it's a baton. Do you get it now? Shay tells us that baton photo is actually a somewhat newish tradition for Kamen Rider that started around X8. So they've only been doing that for a little while now. But that's kind of cool. Yeah, I liked it. Then Shade has some Gotchard trivia for us. First up is apparently one of the producers of Gotchard is a fan of Magic the Gathering and trading cards, which is why these cards are sold in packs, because he wanted to, quote, recreate his original experience of opening the packs and the joy of seeing an amazing card.
I read this as, what's the best way to make money off of this gimmick?
Exactly.
Oh, I know. Random sealed packs of cards. I remember how much money I wasted on these. Now fuck everybody else.
Exactly. I call bullshit. I feel like he backed into a reason why these are random packs. And I don't know if you've like looked into these packs really at all, but at least for yeah, if you haven't looked into any of these so far, there are 2 booster boxes already of these cards. There was like an intro one and then like a phase 1 one. So like the phase 0 intro booster box, they had packs in it that only had 3 cards in a pack. And I think there were only like
it was like 20,
25
15, 20 characters.
Yeah, it wasn't many in the first set. So then I was looking at that thinking like, okay, if I buy a box of that, am I even going to get the cards that I want? And I started looking into that and watching some openings. It's not random. You buy a box, you get all the cards. 100%.
What the fuck? You should have told me that months ago. I would have bought them.
I didn't know it until recently. So you get 1 copy of all the like rare cards, like the like rider cards that are in there, and then you get like a shit ton of the commons, of course. But you end up with 1 set of the whole cards and then a bunch of extra commons from buying 1 booster box, which is like, that's good for people who want to collect all the cards, but it defeats the whole purpose of it being a booster box. Like, then why don't you just sell me a set of the cards for a set price if you're already selling me a set of the cards for a set price with a bunch of extra shit? I don't know if that's how the phase 1 boosters work, but I would assume that's probably how they work, since that's how the phase 0 worked.
But so you had to YouTube and research this.
I did.
People that aren't going to do that and didn't figure it out right away, they would have bought a lot of cards until they realized they got them all right away. Because if you're just buying packs and you always buy the wrong pack, you're fucked. Like every pack would literally be the same thing. The odds are there.
Yes. Yeah. Like if you're not buying a booster as a whole, like you said, if you just ordered like, I want 5 packs of this, you totally are screwed, because you are never going to complete the set. You're going to get 5 packs now that have random cards in it. If you buy a booster later, you're going to get those same 5 packs again in that booster box. It's ridiculous. And also, I saw a bunch of people online who didn't realize this before the pre-orders shipped, where they ordered multiple boxes because they knew they wanted to try to get all the cards.
Which I would have did.
Exactly. So you would have had 100% duplicate. Like you would have had a whole second set that you could have, I guess, sold. But anyway,
so with that point though, if I would have opened that first box, like if we would have did it together or whatever, and I would have pulled the whole set out of that first box, there would be no reason to open the second box.
That's true. You could leave a sealed box or something. Yeah.
So looking online real quick, a box of the Phase Zero cards is $50 plus however much for shipping in American cash, I
Yep.
believe. I can go on eBay right now and get a full Phase Zero set for $63 plus free shipping. So I'm actually tempted to just
It's
buy
kind
a
of worth
set.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tempted to kind of buy a set just for. I don't need to open the cards. Just give me the cards, kind of deal.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
can have
Because
all the cards for $60.
and then you don't have any of those extras, and then you don't have to pay for shipping because the shipping on those boxes is going to be expensive for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. If you want the cards, are you thinking about getting the driver too, or just the cards?
Okay, listen, I'm not you. I don't need a driver.
You're gonna have all the cards, but not a driver. Come on, you got to have the toy you put them in that makes the noise. Come on,
Do they all make the? Do they all do
they
their
all do their own
chirps?
thing. Yeah, yeah. You put them in,
Ugh.
it lights up with the colors of the card. It says the thing. It says like Steam Lighter, and yeah,
Hopper.
exactly, exactly. So the whole thing is you got the whole binder of cards. You pick two out, you shove them in the toy, and then it does its little thing. That you can entertain yourself for hours doing that to me.
I will wait until there's a full set of cards plus one driver, and I will buy the full bundle
I
for a
like it.
one-time price with no extra stress, and then lose the driver and put the cards in a folder somewhere.
We'll talk about drivers again here at the end of this email. But Shade goes on and says Gotchard's arrow design apparently took the design team Arrow Eyes design. Apparently, this took the design team 4 hours of arguing to finalize the idea. The reason was because it slightly deviates from the normal round bug-like Rider Eyes. Um, I feel like it does. Like it looks like Rider Eyes still. It has like the same like sort of dotted bug look behind the arrows. And then he's got the goggles on his head, which are also like bug like. I feel like it's very in line with Kamen Rider design. But maybe
Yeah,
that's why
so
I'm not
I
designing.
just jumped through the episode real quick to find it again. Like, if I saw it, knowing what Kamen Rider is, I wouldn't think he wasn't a Kamen Rider. I would think
Yeah.
that was just his fun flair for the season.
Yep. Because he's even got the antenna and stuff. Like he's very like he's in my opinion not outside the treaded ground of what a Kamen Rider is. Like he fits that mold pretty well. Like he's unique and interesting looking, but definitely the design elements of a Kamen Rider are there, in my opinion. Speaking of which, Shade gives us another little trivia bit here and says that Gotchard's helmet is a reference to a function of the original Kamen Rider's helmet. The helmet's mouth can open for the person inside to see out. The function doesn't appear in the show. It's just for the stunt actor to be able to like breathe and move around and stuff during takes. But the way, if you watch in the transformation sequence for Gotchard, the helmet lifts up, and then that's when the eyes appear, and that's the exact same way the original Kamen Rider helmet would lift up, which is kind of cool.
Gotcha.
Nice little nod. And then, of course, Shade talks about the reflective nature of the Gotchard suit, which, yes, after watching episode 1, it is extremely bright and shiny. Um, and Shade gives us a little picture, which I think you've seen before. The way that they filmed Gotchard in some scenes to avoid like reflecting the camera and the crew on the suit,
Yeah, I
they
did see that
made
one.
yeah, they made a big wall, just a white wall with a tiny little cutout for the camera viewfinder to go through. So then it just gets the like white reflection on the Gotchard suit, which is very smart, but hilarious that they created a problem that then they had to solve. Shade says the idea of fusing two cards together has actually been done first by Ultraman Orb. Because of this, the two characters were compared when the news first came out. And then sends along a video of the orb transformation so we can compare. And then also sends along this was fascinating to me. Someone has made flash versions of all of the Kamen Rider drivers, so you can like play with them in Flash. So like it does all the noises, and you choose like which buckle to put on and like when to press all the gimmicks and stuff.
That's much more in line with what I'd want to do with it versus buying the actual driver.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll share this link with you, but like the link which made me laugh actually is just going to Newgrounds. When's the last time you went to newgrounds.com?
Uh, when Stick Fu or Stickman Fighter or whatever those cool videos were.
Oh yeah, those.
So I would have been like 15. years ago, 16
That
years
sounds
ago.
about right. Yep. I didn't know Newgrounds still existed, so I clicked around for a while when I got this link, and it's still there. It's still Newgrounds. They still have Flash games, which I didn't even know worked in modern browsers, but they clearly have some like player that
They
is
hacked around it.
translating. Yeah, it's like you just play some Flash games just like the old days. But yeah, that's very cool. I love that someone's out there making those making those Flash animations for like every single season. It's very, very cool. And then, yeah, the last thing, speaking of drivers, Shade says on the topic of rider belts, some news that Josh might be interested in because I have the Kamen Rider Geo belt. Uh, Shade says if you're in the mood for irresponsible purchases, they're selling Kamen Rider Revice, Geats, and Gotchard Geo watch. Geats and Gotchard Geo ride watches for Geo's 5th anniversary. So it's the buckles, basically the gimmick that goes on the Zeo driver of those 4 riders. So that's very cool. um, these are series that came after this one, but now they're making the buckles for those riders because apparently Kamen Rider Geo is a super popular season, especially in terms of like the toy. So they have made so many freaking ride watches to put on this to put on this thing. It's insane because unlike Geats, where they're all pretty unique, like all the buckles that they put on the driver are pretty unique and like clearly require a whole lot of like research and creation and modeling and gimmick creation and stuff like that. The ride watches are kind of all the same. They all look the same except for different colors. They all like spin in the same way. They're all the same shape and size. So I guess all for the most part, except for like the super special ones. So making ones like these are basically just putting new sounds in it, picking the colors, and then putting the image of the rider on the face. So like if Zeo continues to be popular, I could see them continuing to make these. But yes, Shade, I knew that these were coming and spent some time staring at the pre-order page of these, being like, do I want to spend $80 on these? Like I do want to, but $80 for 4 plastic toys from Japan. Like, is it worth it? No. Would it be cool to own them? Yes, very much so.
And that's usually what overrides the other part.
Yep, pretty much. I need to get a good way. If anyone has any suggestions, please send an email in and let me know. But I need a good way to display my driver with all the ride watches, like on a wall somewhere. I don't really have a good setup where it can be out and people can see it right now because it's just sort of put away. Um, and if I'm gonna have it and I'm gonna continue to buy these things, I feel like I should like have it mounted somehow. So I
You
need
should
a
do
good way to
something
like
nice
mount
with
this
it.
thing.
Should definitely
Yeah,
do something nice with it.
yeah. I need to let people know just how nerdy I am when they come over because they might not know yet. I gotta let them know, Toby.
You need like a bright flashing sign that says, "I might be a dork."
Exactly, exactly. Listen, I'm already married, so I'm not trying to like, you
There's
know,
no one to impress anymore. You're
exactly. I'm
done.
not trying to attract a mate over here. So I'm ready to let my freak flag fly. Which was always true about me, even when I was trying to attract a mate.
I can only hide so much.
uh, yeah, exactly. Like it's better if you find out now. It was always my approach. Like you should find this out now about me instead of me trying to hide it and then you finding out once you're a little invested. Just get this out right up front. That's our email section. Again, thanks for sending in the email, Shade. And if anyone else wants to send an email in for next episode, that's cast@kamenridersucks.com. Toby, let's jump in and talk about Gotchard, shall
The
we?
brand new show.
Brr, brr, brr. Yeah, your first new Kamen Rider series, well, which isn't 100% true, but your first like new series that you're watching as it airs. I guess we'll say. Is that fair?
The
After Geats.
Yeah, so my second first
Yeah.
live show has begun.
Well, you came into Geats because we started the show technically like a little bit after it started, but because we like had the idea, and by the time we kind of got it going, I think Geats was like 3 or 4 episodes in by the time we recorded our first episode, and you had no expectations going in. Like you didn't even know what a Kamen Rider was, so it was just sort of like, all right, trying this thing. Now at this point, you have a pretty good idea about what a Kamen Rider is. Like we've watched a couple seasons on the side. You watched all of Geats. We've talked about it a bunch. So yeah, this is your first one coming in that like you might have had some expectations. We'll say.
It was definitely a different vibe. It was definitely a different vibe.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess let's kind of just break down what happens. We'll talk about characters, and of course we'll jump in and give our thoughts as we go. But this, of course, like any opening Kamen Rider show, there's a lot that happens in this first episode, and you don't really know where everything's gonna go. They're introducing characters, they're setting up their weird lore of their world, and kind of all that begins here at the beginning, where we see this old guy. He's beaten up, he's bloody,
Indiana
he's
Jones,
dirty.
correct?
He looks very much like Japanese Indiana Jones. He's running, he's being chased, he's being attacked. There's explosions everywhere, and like there are these arrows that are trying to shoot him. And we have these three creepy girls that are chasing this poor guy. Um, they basically are trying to get his key to the door of darkness, is what they call it. And he corrects them and says it's the key governing life and death. And they are referring to the Kamen Rider driver that he's carrying with him.
Also, Kingdom Hearts from Kingdom Hearts.
That is true. What in our Discord discussion of episode 1, our navigator pointed out that that was a Kingdom Hearts thing. The key to the door of
Fantastic,
darkness.
because if you don't think I'm going to hammer that shit home every time, you guys are crazy. Also, I want to point out that the spooky trio will henceforth, for me, be referred to as Baby Metal, because I refuse to learn people's actual names. It's very hard for me for whatever reason. So whatever I can do to dumb it down for myself, to understand what I'm talking about, I will do. So Baby Metal wants the key to the door of darkness.
Yeah, I was trying to write down actual names so that I could offset that of you a little bit.
Well, that's what you're here for.
Thank you.
I'm here for different things.
How'd you feel about Baby Metal in the show? Were you liking the spooky girls?
I was. They're veils that have, I guess we'll call it like scarecrow vibe.
Yeah,
I think is actually super cool. They seem very Egyptian like in nature. I'm
they
not
do.
sure if they're supposed to be Egyptian or just like cool, flashy, futuristic yet ancient kind of outfits. But they do seem very cool. One girl seems like she's 5, and that's kind of concerning.
She's
Like
very young,
the leader of the evilness looks to be 5.
especially because we know, like from Kamen Rider Geats, where we had Baroba, who I would have guessed was like, I don't know, 18. Turns out she was like 15 when the show started. So if this girl looks like she's like 5 or 6, she's probably like 3, right? That's how that works, I think.
Or she's
Uh,
super old and just looks
that's
very,
true.
very good for her age.
That's true. So far, she seems very, very good as an actress. Like she's like, because she's the leader of the like spooky trio too. Her name, I wrote it down. Give me a second. Her name is Atropos. Atropo.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
they'll have Egyptian-esque
they do.
names, and
Yeah,
that's
and
why I'm never gonna learn. I'm an
the other
idiot.
one that we did learn the name of was like Clotho. I don't actually know how to pronounce that, but it was like Clotho. But yeah, the I like that the little one is like in charge. And yes, they're very Egyptian themed, and I too loved the veil. Um, it's almost like emoji over top of their faces. Was the vibe that I was getting. Like like in messaging apps where you could put like stickers on messages and stuff. It looked like that. Like the way that they're hovering over their eyes and over their faces. It's a very cool look. And I really dig the whole creepy vibe that they have going on. It was a nice change of pace from the kind of like corporate creepy that the Desire Grand Prix was. And this is more like unhinged Egyptian creepy, which I'm down for.
And the crazy thing too for the intro in general, or the first minute or two of the show, is I feel like it started super fast paced and just like action, 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 and there was no real like lead into things, which I
Yeah.
feel like kind of is a thing, but I don't know any better. It just seemed to start way faster than I feel like some of those shows we watched have.
Yeah, it freaking goes. Like they're attacking this old guy, and he is fighting back by we learn later, of course, in the episode, by releasing these chemis, which as was pointed out again in the Discord chat by Kieran, they're just Pokemon. These Chemis are full on Pokemon because they're these little creatures that go around and they just say their own name over and over again.
Which is the best part. That's when I got super excited.
And he's using them to like fight these girls. A couple of the chemis that I wrote down, Apari Bushido is one that he releases. There's one named Skibo, which just bounces around going Skibo, Skibo, Skibo. Which
Yeah,
is great.
they're all absolutely the best. I also had like Smash Brother assist trophy vibes, like not the main things you can get, but the little things just jump out and like shoot out and fire around you. It was all
That's a good
very
reference,
exciting.
Yeah, because he would like pop them kind of, and then they would just like they would go off on their own, like they had their own like AI or whatever. Yeah,
and one of the other things too is like for the video gamey-ish aspect of this, it's very much like in the games where you start completely powered and you get to test drive like all your crazy shit for the first 10 minutes of the game, and then like, whoops, your memory got wiped, or going back 20 years, and then you just like lose all your shit. So it's like a very like a good media-ish way to be like, look how crazy this shit gets. You probably won't see it like this for a long time again.
Yep. The Giant Bomb crew used to call it the abilities.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Yep. Which I liked how they did it here. Yeah, because you get you get a little taste of the lore right at the beginning of just like, oh, these girls have been clearly fighting this guy for a long time. We get an idea of like the realm that they're in. We know that he's been a Kamen Rider for a while, clearly, because he's older and he knows about how all the cards work. He has all the cards, and then like you said, you get a sampling of all the chemis right off the bat because he has all the cards. He's ready to go.
The endorphins flying out of my brain as all these little things flash and dance and shoot stuff. The one little guy, I don't know if he was a named one that you picked up. One is definitely Cactrot from Final Fantasy. There's a tiny little cactus man that shoots out spinies.
Yep.
So I think he might be my favorite as of now.
That might have been Skibo. It was hard to pick out which one of them was saying which name. I need to go back and watch that part slower, see if I can figure it out. But yeah, there were some good ones. I'm excited. Excited as we start to like learn more of these for sure. We also of course get a taste of sort of like our main two cards that we focus on throughout the episode, which are Hopper 1 and Steamliner. And he kind of uses the Steamliner to escape, the old guy does, because the Steamliner is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a giant steam train that is a chemi. So it rides around going steam.
It functions like a real train, which is the best part. Like a lot of the other things are tiny and miniature and just kind of shoot stuff around. Hopper, obviously one of the main ones, is a grasshopper.
Grasshopper, yeah.
But the steam train is legit like a giant ass actual steam train. So him going steam, like the smoke puffing out and stuff is very cool. Or very stupid, but it's cool.
Because yeah. I'm very on board. Kamen Rider has a history of flying trains because Kamen Rider Den-O was a train based season. That was like the gimmick was trains. And that is one of, if not the most popular Kamen Rider in Japan. So like I'm sure the
they
Japanese
love their
people
trains.
are very into the Steamliner, yeah. The old guy sends off Hopper 1 and Steamliner in card form and tells them to go find the one chosen by destiny. So
I wonder who's that's going to be.
Well, I can tell you that's going to be Hotaro Ichinose, which is our main character. We pick up with our main character.
Wait, before we go too far then. So right before he left, right before Old Indy sent off the driver to be found, they have all the cards that live in the other world. And like you just kind of put like the main people or him like was pulling the cards from his giant floating collection in the sky. Yeah. And I thought it was a fun way to hype like, look how many cards there are. You can kind of see some of them. Oh shit, aren't you ready for the rest of the cards to come out?
It was a thing they do at the beginning of Xaid where they tell you like there are 10 games that you have to collect all of them. You're like, there's 10 of these, and then of course they add like 11 and 12 and 13 as
there's 101 chemis, get them all.
But like they do that thing at the beginning of just like there's gonna be a lot of these, strap in. And yeah, I thought that was cool too. The display in the air is very neat. Like if we had that technology, that's how I'd want my like magic cards.
Exactly,
for sure. Yeah.
And then I would definitely buy all the sets. If I could just float in the sky, I could just reach up and like magically pull them down from the clouds, I'd be right there. It takes
That'd
up
be
less space that way.
real baller. Yeah. We also that speaking of that area where they're hanging in the air, it's the Aurora Boreas realm, which is weird looking. There's like vials with different colored liquids like hanging in the air by wires like everywhere. Like it takes up the sky basically. And then later we see that is actually a snake eating its own tail in the sky too. So there's some crazy stuff going on in this realm.
Well, like I
Uh,
mean, that's you
that
do
is what
know.
it is. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so make sure because
Yeah, but
it's the emblem of infinity.
like when they said that was the name of the realm, I wasn't expecting it to literally be there and be
I wasn't either. I did
okay.
very on the nose. Very on the
Yeah.
nose.
But yeah, so then cutting back to our main character. He's a young man in high school and we meet him. He is helping at his family's restaurant. He's trying to come up with a
Tanuki soba,
new
yes.
yeah, essentially. They love putting main characters in cute little restaurants. That's a recurring thing for sure. Or like cute little shops in general.
Yeah,
I guess is a common rare thing.
a nice little
Uh,
happy home base.
yep, for sure. He's trying to craft a bento box that makes him say "gotcha" is his explanation, and what and like "gotcha" is his seemingly his go to phrase for like I did it, like yay, I'm successful.
And
um,
so the first time he says "gotcha" is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the episode. From that point, I was instantly irritated with the fact that his name's Gotchard.
okay,
Just for
yeah,
the record.
I had that written down to talk to you about. So do you all right, so he this is cutting ahead a little bit, but he obviously becomes Kamen Rider, he gets the driver. The old guy gives him the driver and says, like, from here on out, you'll be known as Kamen Rider. And he hands him the driver and just says, like this is gonna save the world, blah blah blah. Then later, as Hotaro is transforming, he says, "This is the Gotchard driver, and I'm Kamen Rider Gotchard." And the way that he emphasizes it made me realize, oh, he just added gotcha to the name that the old guy told him. Like he's Kamen Rider Gotchard because he wants to say gotcha a bunch.
Exactly.
It would be like if someone took a high school kid here and was like, "Listen, this is very important. You're now known as Kamen Rider," and then the kid transformed. And I'm like, "I'm Kamen Rider Fortnite. What up?"
Which the kids would do.
They would totally do. So I'm with you on that. When I realized that it was just his catchphrase that he was creating a name out of, it was like, oh, that's not cool. It's not as cool as I was hoping it would be.
I was impressed that they managed. I mean, it's not horrible. We're maybe being a little strict on it, but it is stupid, and it's impressive to me that they managed to ruin it that fast. Like we're watching our current like old watch along is Xaid, and Poppy Pipapopo likes to put P's on her words or say it's been poppyfied or whatever. And that took me a couple episodes to get irritated with her always doing it.
Yep.
But they ruined Gotcha and Gotchard almost instantly in this show, season, first episode, whatever. So it's going to be a thing.
I love that you're like, listen, it's not awful, but it's pretty terrible. I'm mostly surprised that they're giving an in-show explanation for the name because I just assumed it was going to be, oh, because it's like a gotcha game and it's trading cards and we mushed them together and we're never going to explain the name. But the fact that like it's also his catchphrase and clearly that's why he came up with the name and like they're merging it into the world is like, okay, I mean, I guess like A for trying, but like it's not good.
Like now thinking about it, he's literally saying like gotcha card.
Gotcha card, yeah. Like he knows that they're card based.
Yeah.
And he loves saying gotcha. Yep. He's creating that he's creating that portmanteau as we speak. Yeah.
Damn kids.
He seems like a good kid though. I think that is my big takeaway about him here is that I like that he's like the everyman. Like so he's so like he's at his family's restaurant. He's helping his mom out. He's making this crappy bento box. I wrote down what he made: the cucumber hamburger steak with yuzu pepper mayo. That's what he made.
It looked okay. It visually looked okay.
Yeah, I thought it looked delicious.
He didn't seem stoked, but it looked good.
He took a bite and he did not enjoy it. But clearly, like he helps the restaurant because his mom tells him he's late for school. He as he leaves tells her he'll be back to help after school. Like he's a good guy. He's a good guy. That's all I'm saying. Helps his mom. Of course, in our Discord pointed out that the mom says like, "Oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree," and like gestures to a picture of clearly the family, and the dad's face is obscured by a business card, so the dad's going to be somebody important in the show.
Yeah, the
So
guy gave him the driver.
you think that's the dad?
Yeah, it has to be. Like
So
I
my
again, a couple minutes in after seeing, I guess after seeing the whole episode, the old man told the cards to find someone that was worthy of protecting the cards.
true.
The cards found this random kid who has a dad that we can't see, whose mom said that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I would be
So
absolutely
I
shocked if it is not the father.
100% agree with you. I think that you're probably right on the money there. My only issue is that the like the boy, like I know the dad would have aged, right? Like he would be older, but you don't think he would have any inkling of like, you look familiar to me, like because the picture. I guess I can go back and look. I don't remember exactly. I don't think he was like super young in that photo from the beginning.
No, he looks like
Um,
he's like 6 in the photo.
so you think he would be from
Te-
6 to when he is now? He wouldn't recognize his father who had aged in that time.
uh, I don't know about that direction, unless he doesn't really remember his dad. But on the inverse of that, I could see the dad not knowing the kid.
I could 100% see the dad not knowing the kid. Yes, but yeah, I wasn't because I would be 100% on board with what you're saying, except for the fact that like I don't know if it's believable that he wouldn't recognize the dad because he's got pictures of him around the shop. Like clearly, like the mom's not trying to hide who his father was from him or
No,
anything like
he
that. So
was. That little card is covering the picture, and there's a little sign we didn't see that says "Do not move card." So he's actually never seen his dad.
as soon as we move the car, it's just his face is just xed out.
Yes.
But yeah, I think you're probably right. We'll call that prediction here in episode 1 that the old Indiana Jones guy is his dad.
And that one seems obvious, so I'm not going to get as hyped as I did calling a lot of the finale of Geats. If it's true, I'll just be
Yeah.
like, see, that was a stupid one.
But Hotaro heads off to school. At school, he instantly runs into a teacher named Mr. Minato, and Mr. Minato is pestering Hotaro about his career sheet. He
So
needs to fill out what his career is going to be.
that's what that is.
Just
That's what I assume too. Like, you just, like, guidance counselor, hey man, pick your future. And Hotaro's like, I don't know. I'm a
yeah.
slacker, kind of. I just want to work with my mom.
That was what I was getting out of it. I don't know if that's like a Japanese thing or a thing that they're like kind of inventing for the show because it sounded like we do that a little bit here sometimes in like you said with guidance counselors of like the take your career aptitude test and figure out what it says you should be and then I don't know you take it and it says you should be a garbage man or something but yeah, I don't know if that's like ingrained in the Japanese culture of like, figure out what your career is in high school and never change it, or what. But yeah, he's like, I haven't found my gotcha yet. So there's your your use of gotcha again being shoved in.
So, Google, real quick. Someone on Reddit asked Japanese school career sheets. Something I've seen in a lot of Japanese shows, animes, live action. There seems to be a type of future career sheet students fill out. I was wondering if it's a real thing that exists and what exactly is it? What type of questions on these sheets? One person says that there's a sheet where it's basically deciding what university you plan to apply to. And the other one is more of a vocational aptitude test. So they ask you questions like, what do you do when you see your classmate doing something bad? You know the consequences. Or do you prefer to go back home and eat dinner always at the same time? So I guess depending on your personality and the way you react to moral situations, they try to guide you towards a career of something that ties into that, I guess.
And we like our schools do that sometimes too. Like that's kind of what I was describing. Which is always dumb, but like that is not unheard of, at least in the West as well. But this seems more like the first one where they're like they're saying what they want to do as a career, which
Oh
I
yeah,
guess
so
would also be like where you want to go to school and stuff.
so a actual Japanese job hunting website. says the entry sheet is one of the first applications you submit to companies along with a resume. You find several short essay questions. Through the questions, the companies try to learn who you are as a person, if you're a good fit. So it's usually questions like, why did you apply this position? Tell us about your strengths, what you've achieved in school, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's like your first interview at a job in paper form before you apply for a job. So it
I like
definitely
it.
seems very, let's cut some of the bullshit out of the interview process. You take this quiz and answer us the questions ahead of time, and then you apply for a job with it.
And then we assign you to your work forever, never to be
Yes.
escaped from.
You become a salary man, and you have a good time.
Exactly. Well, Hotaro is dodging his future salaryman life, and he doesn't dodge, unfortunately, a girl that he bumps into and gets knocked over in the hallway.
The new
He runs,
navigator.
yeah, he runs into Kudo is this girl's name. She is a little mean at the beginning. He apparently has had class with her forever. She doesn't know who he is, and she also gets harassed by the teacher, but about the career sheet. But then later we find out that her future is kind of decided for her because of ancestral family tradition.
Josh, she doesn't need the work. She's being sold off for whatever that fancy word was when you would trade like 5 goats for a lady.
Oh, you think so?
Dowry.
She's
Well,
the
yeah,
dowry.
yeah.
I don't
She's
think
to
that
be.
that's what that meant.
It is. She's being. She says she's being forced into a marriage, Josh. She's locked
Married?
in.
No, he says ancestral family tradition. He doesn't say marriage, does he?
I could have swore. Maybe I
If he
just
says
wrote it.
marriage,
Maybe I just wrote it as a joke. I feel like that at some point she said she's to be betrothed, and
oh, okay,
or I just took it as she's to be betrothed, and I just laughed.
okay. If that happened, I missed that angle of the explanation. But either way, she moves on, and they go to class, and then we find out a little bit about our friend Hotaro and our new friend Kudo. Both of them are daydreamers. Both of them are not paying attention to class, but but one of them is a little bit smarter than the other. They both have questions to answer about the Renaissance. Hotaro, not paying attention, has no idea what the Renaissance is, and Kudo can give an in-depth explanation about the Renaissance, even though she wasn't paying attention in class.
Because she's too smart for her own good. Josh, she can't. She wants to apply herself, but she can't because of the grand ancestral uh, tradition of being married to some guy.
Is that in the show, or are you making that up again?
I'm just adding it. Josh, what other ancestral tradition would there be where she can't apply for a job? And they said they still do that in this day and age.
Well, because I think it's alchemy. I think it's fighting the chemies.
I don't find whatever.
I think
Oh
it's
no.
being a
Okay, wait. You know what? So we should jump ahead then. Because you're right. And now that I think about it, that is probably the correct answer. It's because she's an alchemist.
exactly. So yeah, to jump ahead to that, she kind of insults Hotaro in the class. She calls him like a poem loving person or whatever. Um, so he follows her after class to kind of tell her off. Basically, is his explanation. Like, I want to tell her she went too far when she said I like poems.
I'll
I
show
gotta,
her.
I gotta let that bitch know I don't like poems. Okay. So he follows her, and she. This is a great scene. She walks up to a staircase that goes to nowhere, just like a staircase up to a building. There's some garbage laying nearby, and she uses like magic powers to form the garbage underneath her staircase to raise it up while she's on it. And it raises it up, and then a doorway appears, and she goes in the doorway.
She used
And then
alchemy to do it, Josh. That's
she
the whole
used
point.
alchemy. Yep. And then all the trash and stuff clatters back down to the floor. The staircase falls. Which one? Cool entrance to your secret lair. But two, not the most inconspicuous way to get into your secret lair. It's very noisy.
Well,
It's
no one's
one,
supposed to be there. She didn't
it's
hide
very
well.
visible and it's very noisy. She didn't hide well. But like she didn't look around. She didn't even like give like, is there anyone following me? Or should I not use alchemy here in broad daylight on the side of this building? She was asking to get caught. That's what I'm saying. Nonetheless, it is full on alchemy. She has a little ring that glows too, which is clearly important. And Hotaro, attempts to follow. Obviously, can't because he doesn't have the junk that raises him up. But behind him, Toby, a door opens.
A magic door, and that he thinks is a trick because she walked into a wall and then a sealed door appears and opens.
Exactly. He goes in. So before he goes in, he'd run into previously another friend who I think is going to come up a lot in the show. Friend's name is Kajiki, and Kajiki is telling him about a monster that he'd I think seen or at least had heard about. So Hotaro goes in this door. It's darkness. He sees shadows. He thinks it's the monster that is going to attack him. But turns out he just finds Hopper One. Hopper One is in there going, Hopper, Hopper.
He found Pikachu. That's right.
He
His
found
his
his
little
Pikachu.
his little cute buddy that will make us all laugh for the next 50 episodes.
So he picks up the Hopper, and then we cut back to Kajiki for a minute, and Kajiki's reading a magazine, which I tried to look into what it was. It's Chojo Wakusei, which like I think Wakusei translates to planet, and Chojo is like the top or peak, so it's like top planet or peak planet or something. Um, so some website said that it was an occult magazine. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, no,
It was a
that
Kamen
would
Rider
line up.
wiki.
That would
Yeah.
line up with him saying, "I see ghosts. I hear monsters."
Yeah, so it's where he's reading about these monsters, and some of the other text on the magazine is like it's talking about like our monster special, like that sort of thing. Um, but of course, we found Hopper One in the last scene, and Kajiki runs into Steamliner. So he's down at the train station underground, and not a regular Japanese train pulls through, but our Kemi Steamliner friend, and
Steam,
it
steam, steam.
nearly runs over Kajiki. Kajiki does manage to get a quick little picture of it before he nearly dies. And then, of course, back to Hotaro and Hopper. He takes the grasshopper to the park to kind of talk to him, tries to feed him at some point, and he tells him basically like, "Oh, when I'm with you, my heart feels all fuzzy." And this is when I wrote down, "This boy is gonna fuck this grasshopper." He gets very into the love language very quickly with this grasshopper. But yeah, we don't really get much time to figure out what's going on with Hopper One here, because dang it, that Kudo girl shows up again. she
The
didn't
best
spend very
girl.
she didn't spend very long at her hideout, and she rolls up on this kid right away, who clearly is just playing with this grasshopper, and she's like, "Are you hiding something? Did you just put something in your backpack?" Like clearly, it was a giant grasshopper. Everyone saw. You saw. Quit playing coy.
The grasshopper is like 3 or 4 foot long, but like 2 feet wide and 2 feet high. Like it's like
Yeah.
hiding like an Xbox or a PlayStation and from your hands into your backpack and being like, I didn't have a console.
I got nothing over here. It's just me and my giant grasshopper that I'm gonna fuck later. No big deal. Uh, but just then, Steamliner shows up, and you talked about before Steamliner being giant, and that it like actually works like a Steamliner, and I love that because it shows up and it drops its rail in front of itself as it drives.
Well, how else would you want it to drive, Josh? It needs rails.
Exactly. No, it's perfect. I love that. And we of course find out that Kudo, she's an alchemist. She can transform. She changes her clothes, and she's gonna fight off this Kemi because it's her duty. She says, um, and she manages to derail the train. Like she like splits the rail, and it like derails and starts skidding, which is awesome. And then it like just creates new rail to like put itself back on the rail. But like fighting a train and forcing it to derail over and over again is very cool. There was also a lot of cool like leaf stuff going on here. So like the train lights a bunch of leaves on fire and kind of shoots them at her, and she like kind of collects them and shoots them back. I thought
She
the
stops
flaming leaf
time.
thing, yeah, I thought that was very cool. And it even like hits Hotaro, and he's like, "Oh god, it's hot!" Ah. So like I think that the girl here is coming off as like a real badass from the very beginning.
Yeah,
Like
she's very. In general, I think she's very cool. She's like the strong guide this confused young boy will need.
Absolutely. And yeah, so like she, like I said, does talk about it kind of being her mission. But Hotaro is like he's not gonna leave her behind, basically. So clearly the Steamliner and Hopper are here for him. So the Steamliner kind of like tries to run him down. He ends up like hanging from like a walkway, like an overhead thing. And he can't hold on for long, but his fingers slip right as the Steamliner's coming, and it kind of just gobbles him up. just just takes him over and transports him to the Aurora Boreas dimension and spits him out. This is when we see the actual like Aurora Boreas in the sky, the snake eating its own tail,
And
which is great.
I know they can't help it. The CG background for this area looks worse than the DGP's floating platform.
It does. It's not great. I would say that the Aurora Boreas zone as a whole is the worst looking CG in the episode. I think in general, like at least in my opinion, I think the Steamliner stuff looks cool. I think most of the chemis bouncing around actually look okay. Like they're not too bad, like all things considered. But there's something about the colors of the zone here that is just very not real looking. There's something
If
about it.
people weren't there, it looks fine. When humans with stage lighting and everything else are on the
Yeah.
stage, it looks very. It's. I mean, obviously it's always fake, but like it looks extra fake just because of the drastic difference in the contrast.
Yeah, they're lighting the humans in a way that like that light source wouldn't exist in this world. It's very clear. Um but yeah, it's odd looking, but we have Hotaro pop up, and of course he runs into the Indiana Jones original Kamen Rider here. And again, this is one of the things I loved about Hotaro. He is very nonplussed by all this. Um, the old guy tells him like basically like, "Oh, you're here because they approved of you." And he's like talking to the cards, and he was like, "Oh, all that meant you guys approved of me? You could have just told me." Like he's like joking with them after he nearly thought that they killed him. And even back with the girl when he was fighting, he was like, "Listen, you said it's your duty, but I can't just leave you behind." Like he jumps to being a hero like instantly. I thought that that was
Yes,
neat.
most of my stuff in this general time frame was they're going very fast through all of it, and it's
Yeah,
all just okay. It's just like, yep, okay, yep, you're a hero, you're this, you're this, you're this, cool, blah blah, blah. And like it works because they obviously need to get things done, but it's just crazy that like it's just so fast. It's just all accepted and we just go.
yeah. He doesn't refuse the call once. Like if you think about like the mono myth, like the Joseph Campbell story circle, like the hero, the person who's going on the journey, has to refuse the call and decide that the journey's not for them, and then have something that convinces them. And this kid is just like, no, I'm good. I'll be a Kamen Rider. It's fine. Yeah, it's all right. Like not once does he have a moment of hesitation in this episode. He he finds a grasshopper. He stuffs it in his backpack. He's ready to go from that moment on. His only hesitation was maybe this shadow's a monster, and then it turned out to be a literal monster, and he was good.
And even like, I mean, we joked about it earlier, but even when he gets the driver and he's just like, I'm a Kamen Rider. I know how to henshin. By the way, I'm Kamen Rider Gotchard. And it's just all like instantaneous, and there's no thought or planning put behind it. It's just like instant acceptance. And usually the conversation of like, well, when they become riders, they know what to do. And like in Geats, the brand new kids were all kind of lost. Like KO was a big doof and didn't really do shit when he henshined. But Gotchar is just like, yeah, I'm the best. Watch me do moves. Watch me do this.
Yeah, he instantly is. Well, he's a little confused. So like he turns into the grasshopper first, and he like doesn't 100% know what to do because he's like, oh my god, what is this? Not expecting this. Oh, I can jump really high. And then he remembers back to a vision that the old guy gave him, that you have to pull the sides of the driver apart to touch the sides of the driver. He does that, and then he turns into like human form. So it works out. um I did actually like that like the old guy gave him a vision about how to henshin, instead of just having the Kamen Rider just instantly know how to henshin without explaining that. I thought that that was kind of cool. But he clearly learned it very quickly from the one little vision. He picked it up fast. And yeah, of course, this is the scene where the three girls show back up. They have the fight. The old guy gives him the driver, says, "You're going to be known as the Kamen Rider from now on," and then, yeah, basically gets blown away while the kid gets sent back to his world.
And as part of that, all 101 Gotchard fun little toys got
Yep,
blasted into the real world, and they all. So I guess like the one of the takeaways is like there's not like 7 hoppers. There's not 100 hoppers. There's one hopper that goes in one card, and there's just one of every little Kemi monster that's there.
I guess so. Yeah,
But all other 99 are now out in the world causing havoc and running around and acting stupid.
seems that way. Yeah. And in another, this kid is instantly down for being Kamen Rider. He pops back out and he's there with the girl, and he was like, "So something big happened. I'm a Kamen Rider now." And he's like, "I was just entrusted with this heavy burden," or something. He has some line about like, "I was just entrusted with this. I'm Kamen Rider." Like he doesn't hide it from her. He just instantly tells her, and he tells her that it's important, and then they go. But yeah, we have all these chemis flying around. It's very interesting. The chemis I think are interesting because they the way that they explain them, they're like inherently not evil, like they're just little creatures. But if they're met with human malice, then they turn evil.
And that's how we got our first person in the battle,
Yep.
pretty much.
So Clotho or whatever her name was, one of the three of the evil sisters, basically comes down into the world, and her malice meets up with one of the chemis, I think like Kami, I think is what it's saying, or something like that. And turns into this like mantis themed, um, the essentially what would be the putty of this world, like or I guess maybe elevated
No,
above the putty.
no,
So
she's
it's
a
like
boss because
the
the
main monster for.
the Comantus card is a level 9 card, and Hopper's
Oh,
only a level 1, so
thank you.
she's definitely powerful.
It's interesting. I don't think that. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if the first Chemi was Comantus or not. So does Comantus get its own card then?
Yeah, because that was the card he captured at the end.
Oh right. Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah, which
But
is a big improvement.
so looking at the cards and trying to logic out this not game of a game, they all have their own little power values, and I'm assuming you can only max out a power level 10 because like Steamliner's a 9 and Hopper's a 1. So he uses them together, and then it's a level 10. So I'm assuming the only way the numbers tie into anything is you have to have like your combination has to equal 10 for it to do something.
That would make sense. Yeah, I can see that. I do like that they have the rider-card.com website. You can see all these images. It's very fun to just like click through all the images.
That's spoilers, god damn it.
Well, I'm looking at Comantus. I pulled it up so I could look at Comantus.
So and now that Gotchard has 3 of the 101 chemis, the show has a natural stopping point at this point when he recaptures all 101.
That's true.
So already the ending is setting up for he's going to be the Chemi commander, and we'll have all 101 cards back in the Ouroboros land.
101 cards, singleton. He's ready to go to play commander, and then someone tells him that it's supposed to be 100 cards, and he loses because he brought an incompatible deck. He if for finally playing commander, he has to cut Hopper 1. That's like the big sad thing that happens at the end. Is I'm sorry, Hopper 1, you just don't make the deck. Last couple things here on this episode. So of course the big ending revelation too, we find out that his teacher from the beginning, who was asking him about his career choices, is actually somebody else, some other alchemist. I don't know.
Either the alchemist's boss, his like the navigator alchemist, either her boss or they're like coworkers, team, friends, whatever. But they're definitely both together. And now they have the power of the Kamen Rider with them.
I love that when he's a high school teacher, he makes his hair all messy, pulled down to the front. And when he's an alchemy teacher, he does his hair nicely. I like that he changes his hair like he's like reverse Superman. It's pretty good. And then my last thought about the last few minutes here of the episode, like you said, he transforms. He pretty much instantly knows what he's doing. He starts fighting. He's ready to go. Um, I loved that the chest is like a beetle that kind of separates, at least here in this first form. And at the beginning, they make his chest be fire on the inside,
Yeah.
which is an awesome effect. Eventually, they just turn it into, clearly it's like a sticker, and it's not doing the like CG effect anymore. But at the beginning, when it's like he's running around with a flaming chest, so cool. I loved that a lot. I do hope that do hope the other forms, when we start seeing him mix cards, have interesting elements like that in them. I think that was a cool way to like show the Steam aspect of Steamliner.
Yeah, I mean, they've had tons of time to plan this out. They already started strong with that. I feel like they at least will remotely keeping up with that kind of logic and making them all look the same in the same cool way of like combining all the crazy little things together.
Yep, I think so. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up at
Oh wait, no,
least
no,
the
you can't. So at the end, after the monster's defeated,
yeah.
nerdy ghost kid comes up and he's like, "I saw a monster in the train station. Look at this!" And he shows the picture on his phone, and they do a Men in Black memory wipe where the
Yeah.
phone erases and the Kemi disappears. And his friend's like, "I don't even know what I'm doing here, but I'll see you at school tomorrow. Later, buddy."
You would think the friend would be like, because his phone gets erased, but not his mind. So you think he'd be like, "This is weird. Like something happened here. Either I need to go see a doctor right now, or something freaky is happening."
Yeah, because like it's basically the reveal of it being the guidance
The
counselor
teacher,
teacher
yeah,
guy, where he's like, "There's one rule: memories will be erased of any Kemi exposure." Basically, so it's almost like the DGP, where like after the shit's over with, it just no one knows anymore.
yep, gotta wipe him out. Which is even funnier because like he's trying to like do all these mind wipes, like you said, like Men in Black style. But there's just 99 more of these Kemis just running around out in the world. Like, how is he gonna keep up with this? Like, especially if some of them are like Steamliner, where it's like a massive disruption of a train driving through the the Tokyo streets. It seems like you're gonna have a lot of mind wipes to be doing.
He has a plan. That's fine.
He's good.
Also, main girl, the little short one. I
Yeah.
looked while we were talking. She is 9 years old.
Wow. Okay.
So she's
So yeah,
now past Baroba in the youngest Kamen Rider enemy category, I'm sure.
she's great so far. Yeah, I hope she continues to be awesome because she's like her like stone faced "I'm evil" line delivery is very good. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, she's about as old as she looks then. So overall, how are you feeling about Gotchard episode 1?
it's it seems extremely fun and silly, and it has like it's a very good setup to get all like the what we'll call backstory of this out of the way. It feels goofy, like X-Aid is goofy.
Yep.
So I'm very high on it so far. Other than the whole Gotchard name is stupid now. I'm very high on the potential of where this all goes, because obviously now we know there's like a boss of the people who know about chemis and want them to be with humans, but not really, and can't let them be friends. And they set up a good chunk of the future story, but the present was very good.
Yeah, I think that the I was more impressed with the world lore than I thought I was going to be, because it seemed like from the trailer that there was just a lot going on. Like it was high school, but it's also all this alchemy stuff with these secret alchemy groups, and there was just seemed like there was like a lot that we would have to take in, and there is, um, but I like where they're going. Like I like the old Kamen Rider guy. I like that there's hinting at a lineage in this world of common writing, which is very cool. Um, they just set a lot of tone, I think, in this episode that I like. And like you said, it's a little bit more, I guess, traditional Kamen Rider beginning than Geats was. Where like with Geats, it's like, we have Keiwa who comes out of that first episode feeling more like the lead character than Geats did. Where here it's very clear, we know who our main guy is. He is ready to go. He has no reservations. He is a hero. Let's do it. which is a little bit more, like in the X8 comparison, like full on, let's do it. I'm a hero. We're gonna hit this.
Also, the buckle voice sounds like the same voice of the X8 belt. Like the guy that
Probably
does
is.
the what a game, what game, dead game. That guy. It sounds like the same voice. And I mean, obviously they can do fancy computer technology and everything else, but I feel like it's the same voice actor doing it.
Probably is. Yeah.
I'm gonna double check it while we're talking here. So you got to vamp for a second.
I like that I like the driver. I like the driver a lot so far. I like it says like Gotchard,
last
go!
week you said this is so stupid. You can't see the cards. This is gonna be the worst driver ever.
Well, in use, like I like the noises that it makes, and I like the look of the lights and stuff. I still don't know if it's not going to get boring with there being no visible outside gimmicks. But I think that visually the orange of it and stuff looks very cool, and the lights look very cool. But it's not my favorite driver for sure. And I don't know if it'll be like best selling toy driver, but it looks cool around Gotchard's waist. I will give him that. I want to see the old guy henshin. That's my other thing. I hope we at least get a flashback where we get to see him henshining into a slightly different Kamen Rider.
So he was not an X8. So it's not the X8 voice, but he was in a bunch of Yakuza games. So I don't think I know him from the Yakuza games, but it is a voice that in theory I know. And he's also done a bunch of Pokemon, which I feel like a lot of
that's cool.
Japanese voice actors have done at this point.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's definitely like a video game voice guy. One Punch Man, Fire Emblem, Dragon Ball, all sorts of shit.
I bet we get some really good like belt voice like combinations this season with how many cards there are and how wild they're going to be. I bet there's some real good stuff in that driver.
There has to be. Also, he's been in a lot of Sentai stuff as well. I'm trying to figure out if it's like Ghost Tiger. He was a voice for almost all that. Like the Buckle voice man is hardcore, like the voice of everything in Japanese media apparently. He's
running the show over there.
He's running the show. He has 386 credits to his name.
That's a lot of credits. That man's out there working.
Yeah. Hardest working man in the biz.
Speaking of hardworking men, Toby, you and I have worked very hard this episode. I think it's time for us to call it quits. What do you say?
Oh no, there's chemis left.
Well, we'll get to the chemis next episode. We'll catch up to more. Listen, we got 100 chemis. We got 50 episodes. We can pace ourselves a little bit here.
I guess so.
So that is going to wrap us up here for Gotchard episode 1. If you like what we're doing here and maybe you're tuning in for the first time because of Gotchard, we have a Patreon we'd love for you to check out. Just $3 a month and you get weekly bonus content. We do watch and reacts over there where we are watching currently Kamen Rider X8. You get to watch that along with us, see X8, hear our idiot conversations and jokes that are happening over top of it. It's like Mystery Science Theater, but with Kamen Rider. Super fun. You get to join in our Discord community that we mentioned earlier. Super, super fun. All an absolute bargain for a mere $3. And if you want to send an email, send those over to cast@kamenridersucks.com. We'd love to have you back for next time, and we'd love for you to join in and write an email for sure. Toby, where can the people find you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's @LifeOfTobes, and on YouTube, it's Tobes Plays.
And I'm on Twitter and Threads and everywhere else @PrettyDeeceJosh, and on YouTube @PrettyDeece. Just search for Pretty Deece and you will find it. And yeah, that's gonna wrap us up. We'll be back for episode 2 of Gotchard. See what chemis we can catch then. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.